must be discernible as such, even if the whole animal is not depicted. Entries can be composite.
Is encouraged to maintain safe working conditions for the subjects. Diptychs, triptychs and series are also permitted. Cool. So let's have the first print, please. So, Morgan. Yeah, just put your score in. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We have an average score of 74, and we're going to continue to get a comment from one of the judges for every photograph. So, Melissa's reaching for her microphone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think with this image, maybe look at where your lighting's coming from, you know, that it's being lit from above. So the most critical element that we're looking at is sort of the headband. And obviously we're going to, you know, want to be drawn into lighting the face. So
thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 82, silver award. And Morgan, could we get a comment from you, please?
Yeah, sure. The thing that struck me with this image is the fact that there's varying levels of, from a technical perspective first, there's varying levels of motion captured. So the way that the photographer has controlled is quite good. That's what I noticed from a technical perspective. In terms of the lighting and the colour palette working so well together as well, it's a very fresh image in this kind of category, and those elements really stood out to me.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 81, silver award. And Julie, a comment from you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this image too and gave it a solid silver. The pet itself, the dog, is pin sharp and little droplets of water flying off. I liked the pink, the beautiful softness in the water reflected from the sky, which I think picks up the ears and the tongue of the dog too. So there's the pinks flowing through. So it is a really very pleasing image. Well done.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have a score of 73. Could we have Darren a comment?
Yeah, good professional practice, I believe. Nice lighting on the subjects. Maybe the crops just a little wide. There's a couple of dark areas on the edges that are taking the attention away from the main subject.
Thank you. A couple of other judges nodding there. Thank you. Next print, please. We have by majority a score of 79. And Melissa would like to challenge. Melissa's on 85. You've got an 84 and 378.
So guys, I'd like to see if I can talk this into the silver range. It's currently sitting on 79. What I really enjoy about this is the different perspectives. So as a dog owner, I see this perspective all the time, and I like that it has that sense of intimacy and freshness. Now, I'm going to be completely honest and say, yes, there's some imperfections in the file handling and the print, but we're looking at a silver as opposed to a gold distinction. But I'm looking at this for freshness, for innovation, from a different perspective, and for doing something unique and looking at rewarding that and seeing if we can bring it into a silver category at one point.
Adam?
Yeah, look, I enjoyed the sort of innovative approach. I guess what I was looking for, and look, the more I look at it, I can definitely come up into all those silver. I guess what I was looking for is that extra little bit of personality. It just seems a little bit. It just seems a little bit in between expression and sort of for something that's so up in your face. I kind of felt like that there was something more we could have got. Now that's probably what stopped me initially. But look, I do like the approach, and I can see myself coming into a low silver for those sort of reasons.
Thank you. Comment to add?
I really enjoyed the freshness mentioned, but I guess the composition wasn't working for me. And that expression, I did want, I guess, a bit more eagerness. I felt like the dog was coming up to the camera, and so I wanted that reason that it was coming up to the camera to be shown in the picture, not just this kind of gazy look. And so it didn't quite get where I needed it to go, but listening, yeah.
Thank you. Something to add, Julie?
Yes, please. I'm with Mel totally, and if this was reprinted perhaps on different paper surface or whatever, it could even go higher. For me, I think the expression is all there. I think it's that, have you got a treat for me? Please, please, please. Like that look in the eyes is that pleading look they give you when they're, expecting some reward. And I just love the humour in it with the nose just ginormous at the front, right in your face. I think it's a superb different angle of a pet. And I can just see the pleading in the eyes to me. That is just like, please give it to me. And I think the pet would have been well rewarded after this shot because that expression just has it all for me. So yeah, I think a bit more work on the file and some perhaps a different paper choice. I love it. Let's give it a silver, please.
Thank you. Melissa, your right of reply.
Yeah, I would concur entirely with Julie that the reason the dog is looking up there is because they're held directly above the camera and the dog's eyes are focused entirely on that treat, and and the dog has been trained to be obedient because it is going to be quite close to the camera, so it can probably jump and get that, but it's sitting there doing exactly everything that it needs to do, just going, please give me that treat. It's not looking too excited because it can't jump, it's just sitting there going, as an obedient dog, I really want that treat. So yeah, I would love to see this as a silver, and I'd encourage one or two judges to come up. Thank you.
Thank you. The current majority score 79, Melissa's score of 85 is locked in. Judges, please rescore now. And we get silver award 83. Thank you. Nice conversation, judges. Good teamwork. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. We have an average score of 71. And can we have a comment, please? Darren, thank you.
Yeah, nice, sharp, well-composed image. I just find the pose a little bit awkward, especially the back leg. I just keep getting dragged to that all the time, and away from where the action is. So maybe something a bit tighter would have been better.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Have a silver award 82. Thank you. Darren would like to challenge. Darren's on 88. You've got two 84s, a 78 and a 77.
Okay. I guess when this first spun around, it really captivated me. The palette grabbed me straight away. I can see detail from sitting way back here. Beautifully lit animal. So photographically, very nicely put together. Nice use of depth of field. I like seeing that texture in the sand. The expression's beautiful. Compositionally, very nice. The sort of iconic square with the dog with the tilted head. The composition going from corner to corner. I found it hard to fault, and not only that, it really did captivate me. I like this dog already. So.
Thank you. Morgan on 77.
I hear that, Darren. For me, whilst the immediate impact of the dog there was from sitting here, I agree that is quite the impact of that is a lot. But I first of all saw the background and I was quite distracted by that. It's incredibly bright. I'm challenged by the gamut shift. It feels quite bold. My eyes are taken away from that. As strong as the dog is, I'm quite distracted by how that background actually, I feel detracts from that. I feel some adjusting the composition to remove some of the lower elements there, so there's less stuff, but in that bottom quarter of the image. It really challenged me.
Thank you. Melissa on 84.
Yeah, I'm there. I was almost there to start with, and I ummed and ahed, and I lacked a little bit of conviction. What will take me into the silver with distinction category is that visual communication with that dog. That you know exactly that dog is communicating. It's got its head, that it is listening, and that level of engagement. It's not passively sitting there looking out and beyond. This is an engagement with the photographer. It is beautifully handled. The colour palette is gorgeous, and that visual communication is what's going to take me up into it.
Thank you. Adam's got something to add?
Yeah, look, I wasn't far away either, and I'm not going to take a lot of convincing. I enjoy the colour palette because it sort of matches right through the body, and then the head is against that blue. Where I struggled a little bit with the lines in the background, sort of leading me sort of not quite. It's one level, and then that's another level. I think that's what initially but the impact is so strong. I'm leaning more towards going up as well. And if you can convince me about those background lines, I'll definitely be there.
Thank you. Back to you, Darren.
The background for me initially, I went, oh, what about that background? And then I went to somebody's dog, and this is probably where they walk it every afternoon. And if this is a representation of a connection between an owner and a dog, I think there's maybe some deliberate retention of those elements, and so that connection was enough to make me disregard those concerns I had. So I'd encourage you to think about that and come up to Silver. It's a lovely print.
Thank you, Darren. So Darren's score of 88 is locked in. The current average score is 82. Judges, please rescore now. And we have 85, silver with distinction. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 69 and a comment with Julie.
This could have been really beautiful, but with this sunlit effect, the horse's hind legs are the focal point. They're the piece that isn't covered by this sunlit effect. So you need to look at that and actually look at where your subject is, and it would have been absolutely beautiful if their faces had that focal and light on them.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. By majority, we have a score of 85, silver with distinction. And I'm saying that very slowly. So we have a really interesting score range from 87 to 73. 88 to 73. So one judge can, it is an automatic challenge, technically. You'd like to talk about it? Well, it is to the lower end, so there's 4 of your teammates. If you'd like to. Okay, all right. So it's an automatic challenge because one judge is more than 10 points away from the average. The system works that at least 3 judges have to be in the same score range, which is why I announced the majority score of 85. So we're going to actually talk to Melissa first, and then maybe just 1 or 2 other judges, and we can rescore. Melissa's on 73.
So firstly, my intention is not to talk this print down. I am in a position where I can challenge, and I think sometimes it's good to have that debate, because I'd love to know what you guys have had, and discussion is always good because everyone learns from it. So I scored this in the 73 for a couple of reasons. Again, I go with the team decision, so I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else is saying, but I'll sort of let you know from my perspective. I wasn't so set on the lighting. I overlit. I didn't enjoy the colour palette, and I didn't enjoy the composition. So I put it into the professional practice area. I recognise it as a professional product. In saying that, as I said, I'm not trying to talk this down. We're just opening this for discussion. So as a team, that maybe it can go up because I'm, on my own.
Thank you. Morgan on 88.
Thank you so much for challenging this. I really want to talk about this. The humour used in the way that the author has used humour in the shape and composition of the branch, which merges with the insect, and the angle of the animal looking up into that, is just this beautiful compositional element that I saw straight away. The colour palette is wonderfully muted. I think the lighting emphasises that colour palette. I think it allows the humour to shine through, and I just think this is very exciting and really, really funny because of those elements.
Thank you. Darren? I think you're all on much the same score range, so...
Yeah, so I scored this as silver. I enjoyed it when it turned around, and obviously first impressions are always pretty important. And the thing that I've rewarded is the creativity, the innovation. Not convinced about the technical components of it, and that's why I probably didn't go any further. So the fact that I scored silver and it ended up in silver distinction at 85, I think that's been this print's been well rewarded with its current score.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything new to add? Or should we go ahead and rescore? Yep, thank you. So the current majority score is 85. The actual average score is 83. The majority score is 85. So you are all free to move your scores, having listened to the debate. So please do so now. Thank you. And it goes to silver distinction, 86. Thank you. And we're going to just swap out our judges. So Adam, Darren and Morgan, thank you very much. Chris. I just want to make sure all of our judges get a turn. Just for our online audience, you can't hear the joking going on here about the Australian cricket team. So we've got Chris Thomas, Mark Duffus and David Evans joining us. Thank you very much. And next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 85, silver distinction. And Julie would like to comment. Yes, please.
The field, and that is crazy with this dog pelting at you. And I would imagine this is a working dog on a rural property just by the setting, perhaps. So just absolutely befitting the image. Give it one more touch of black, and I think that could even go higher. Just I felt it was, yeah. That's the dirt flying up behind, which just adds to the speed of this dog, which is what makes the fact that that depth of field is literally that line through there of sharpness, and he is pin sharp. But I just reckon give him just that little touch more black, and that could even sing even more.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 84, silver award. Thank you. And a comment from Mark Duffus.
This is a great representation, and I think dropping in the clouds, the moon, and the way it's lit is so very well done. The only thing I think that could make this go a little bit further is the one thing that sort of halted my score from going further was basically it looked a bit stuffed. Well, it's sort of, I mean, it's frozen midair, but if there was just a subtle bit of movement to it, would give it life a bit more and make it more believable in the whole situation. But still, brilliant print as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 81, silver award. And Mark would like to challenge. Mark. You just need to put your hand up and say challenge. It's much quicker because the system's slower than...
Okay, I scored this 88.
Hang on. So we've got a score range, just to let all the judges know. 88, 82, 81 and 278s. Yes.
Okay. So you have my score. This is actually quite abstract presentation of praying mantis, or not, some insect thing, creature, and everything else. And between the colour they've used, the design, the layout, and the chosen presentation to have it upside down is really quite perplexing when you first look at it. And it really draws you in. And they've taken something as a small little insect creature and made it so much more interesting by the way to present it. Even just the design nature of having the 3 leaves up the top and then sort of drawing you down, and the fact that it's got that arched, there's probably a name for it, the thing on the back. Tail. Tail, but it's called something else, isn't it? It's not just a tail. The sting? I don't know. The thing on the back. And the design, the structure, the presentation, the choice of colour, I think that it deserves more than a silver up to a silver distinction by the choices the photographers made to take something like an insect to present it this way.
Thank you. Chris, 78.
I can see that I've probably underscored this a little bit. I did enjoy the amount of detail, even right up to its antenna or whatever they're called. But the thing that did hold me back initially was the palette used. I was looking forward to more detail, but thank you.
And we're just going to hear a comment from Melissa.
I was also on 78. So I believe this is a spiny leaf insect, and they're this is kind of what they do, and this is their food supply. For me, I didn't understand the blue context, why we had the blue colour palette. So I put it in professional practice at 78, which was very close. I found that actually distracted me because it was so intense and so harsh, and some of the blacks I found it was just too contrasty. I would have loved to have seen the little details in his antenna a little bit more. So that's kind of why I'm sitting on 78. I did enjoy the composition with the leaf and with the hanging down, but I'm listening.
Thank you. David, we might just briefly hear from you. You're on 82.
I think that the creature and the pose is otherworldly, that I think the blue really works as a deliberate choice, which is clearly it is. It's not a colour shift. I really think it works. It takes us to another place, and you already look at these types of creatures and say, what the hell is that? But this is even more so. So I think I'm going to come up.
Thank you. Back to you, Mark.
It's a very thought-provoking image. I mean, even a little bit otherworldish. You're looking Avatar, sort of Avatarish, the way they've approached and chosen that, or even say that the colour is a little bit of a nocturnal representation, which is contrasted with the white sort of, I guess, deep etch or cut-out background. So it's the creative process they've chosen to present something like this in the manner it has that is just so different that I think it deserves Silver's distinction.
Thank you. Mark's score of 88 is locked in. The current average score is 81. Judges, please rescore now. And we have silver distinction, 85. Thank you. And right, would you like a tea or coffee? So you're all done. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 86, which is silver with distinction. Melissa, you're actually 10 points away from the average, so we've created an automatic challenge. So we will hear from Melissa first on 96, and then we've got, we'll be hearing next from Chris, 78. He knew. We've got the bookends. And then we will go back to David Evans to wrap up the conversation. So thanks, Melissa.
So this is the awesome thing about 5 judges. We've all got entirely different perspectives. I've put this in the gold distinction range, and the reason for that is, to me, this is absolutely a decisive moment. You know, this moment, from everything from the splash, the expression of the dog, that excitement and that visual communication of those eyes and that excitement, you know, is just magical. The droplets of water that are flying, you feel the energy, the emotion, the excitement, and that's what a good image in the pet category should do. It should tell us about this dog and tell us about its character, and this absolutely nails it. I enjoy the brown colour palette because it works it contrasts with the blue and the grey in the dog, with the eyes, you know, and the colour tones. And to me, this is above and beyond a professional level. This is above and superior level. This decisive moment with that splash, framing that dog, that expression, the paws up, is just stunning. And for me, it sits in a gold distinction. I'd love to see if we can talk it up to a gold level.
Thank you, Chris, on 78.
Okay. The biggest thing for me, I put it in extremely solid professional practice, was the background, which didn't add anything to the image itself. I do understand what you're saying with the expression, the sharpness, etc. So quite possibly I've underscored a little bit. But the background didn't add anything, and could possibly argue that it actually takes away from what we're seeing in the foreground and the subject.
Thank you. We're just going to go to David on 87.
I went straight to the dog's eyes and mouth immediately, bang, and so the impact was very high. The deliberate choice to not only put the dog in the centre but create the sort of panoramic crop, which means that the central position works a lot better. The background enhances the image for me because the dog is so light that having those dark colours and the separation with the water droplets really works, and it also reads really well left to right, and there's nothing too distracting in the background. Everything comes back to the dog and the droplets. So I do think this deserves a gold.
Thank you. Julie, a comment to add briefly?
I would like to, because when you're photographing pets like this, and I must say huskies do have very smiley faces, so an expression like that is quite achievable, but it is an awesome expression, so I do not take away from that. I gave it a silver with distinction, so I really loved it. I would have loved that second ear up a bit more, and I know when I'm photographing pets, we're always making noises and so on. Yes, when they're in action, maybe not, but they can still have their ears forward when they're running like that. So I wanted that. If I had have had 2 ears up as well whilst racing at me, I would have totally gone for gold with you. Also, as the photographer, usually having something chucked at you to get them to run at you like that, so you're putting yourself in the position. But, you know, it is a decisive moment. It's absolutely beautiful. I think it's really well deserved of a silver with distinction. So I need a little bit more talking up to go to gold.
So it is an automatic challenge. We need to keep that in mind. So get a right or reply. I think we've had some good conversation and we've got an excellent score range. Well done, judges. The current average score is 86. And judges, having listened to the debate, please rescore now. And it goes to 89, silver with distinction. Thank you. Next print, please. Thanks, Julie. Thank you. We have an average score of 88, so with distinction. Mark would like to challenge.
Okay, I went.
Mark's on 93. We've an 88, 87, and two 88, sorry. 87, 86, so Mark.
All right, I'll get the puns out of the way. It's a bit cheeky. No, the humour and the chosen way to put this image together, I think, speaks of such originality that I put it into the gold range. And just holding out that leaf, and it's almost like the bug's going, "Huzzah! I've got a leaf," and he's climbed to the top or the arse end of the world. To celebrate that moment. And I mean, the lighting's beautiful, the colour, the printing. One thing that held me from going higher was possibly some of the construction could have been done a little bit better. But the design, the lighting, and everything else, such a unique element, and the humour that we're presented, and everybody came up and did basically reacted with such smiles on their faces when they saw it, that I think that it deserves to be a gold, not just a silver distinction.
Melissa?
I'm in the lowest. I'm in the silver distinction range. So the reason, you've absolutely hit the reason that I pulled it down. It was basically on some of the technique, some of the shadows underneath. I would have liked the printing. I love the spiny leaf insect. I love how that's been lit, and I love the leaf. I would have loved to have seen the print just a little bit crisper, a little bit more detail in those shadows areas. But the humour, you're absolutely right. The humour and the innovative concept of it, I'm absolutely listening and happy to go up. But I think if some of those issues had been resolved for me, I would have instantly gone a lot higher as well.
Thank you. And we might just briefly hear from David.
I'm still smiling, so congratulations to the photographer. Being able to humanise a stick insect it's just not easy. So this is a really wonderful image, and I do think there are a couple of issues with it. I'm pretty comfortable where I am on 88. So,
thank you. Back to you, Mark.
Details in the shadows. Apart from the background, which is black, I don't know where else you could put detail in the shadows unless more into the separation in the cheeks as to whether there's more detail there. But the lighting wise, I mean, the skin tone could be any type of skin tone. So basically it is the colour we're presented with. And I think the shadow is representative of the lighting direction, which is coming directly from above. I think everybody feels that probably the feet could have been better planted into the skin of the bum. I'm presuming it's a bum. I don't know. But I still feel that given the humorous nature and the interpretation of where the stick insect is and the humanization of a stick insect, that is just, it is a celebration image of stick insects and what they can achieve.
Thank you. Mark's score of 93 is locked in. The current average score is 88. Judges, take a deep breath and please rescore this image now. And we have a gold award, 91. All right. I think Mark feels his work has been done this morning. Thank you, judges. So please collect your thoughts, and can we please have the next image? By majority, we have an average score of 90 gold award. Sure. You're most welcome to challenge. Anyone in the gold range can challenge at any time. Julie would like to talk about it. She's on 93, so you've got a 92, a 90, an 88, and an 81.
Look, I know we're almost all there, but this is absolutely beautiful. Just the expression you even get from the bird. I mean, we talked before about something being stagnant. This has the full flight. To capture that, like, that's been extraordinary in itself. But also in, you know, these dark tones to have all the detail. So it's absolutely superbly done. Beautiful print. But I think the added thing is just having that bird's eye looking at the photographer as it's flying past, the beautiful sweep of the wings. I think this, you know, yes, we are gold, which is extraordinary. But there are some who could perhaps go up a little bit more and reward this photographer even more. We could even consider a gold with distinction here, because I think it has been superbly caught, superbly finished and presented to us.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we might hear from Mark on 81.
This is one area where, yes, the composition, the capture is so well done. Unfortunately, presentation, and this is where going to the length of detail in the blacks has gone too far, and the degradation in the just above the bird's head and to the right in the black has actually gone to the point where we have pixelization, and also basically trying to pull too much information out of the image has degraded the image, or in the printing process probably hasn't gone as far as it could go to get to and I feel that technicality or that technical nature, because it is a print competition, basically will always hold me back from going anywhere near a gold. Because if it was a beautiful print and then held that black above the bird, it would be instantly there. But the technical nature of that failure is basically going to always hold it down below a gold for me.
Thank you, Mark. And we'd like to hear from Chris, please.
I understand what you're saying, Mark. I would have gone higher if not for that single point. Everything else about the print, when it spun around, I was left gobsmacked. I went up, and what I loved the most was, and rightly so, the photographer's detailed this point, the intent on that bird, on grabbing whatever it's literally about to land on, was just so captivating. So very much enjoying how much the photographer has captured that. Other than that, the beautiful shapes that the wings were making across from left to right, everything just sat absolutely perfectly. So it was a very easy goal for me. If it was on a slightly different paper, that I would have easily gone to gold distinction, which would have addressed Mark's issues.
Thank you. Anything else to add? Otherwise, we'll go back to Melissa, just briefly.
Yeah, briefly, okay. I sat on 88 for the exact reasons that raised. I loved the composition, I loved the movement, the energy, the direction. It was print quality that held me just below a gold, and I wonder whether a different paper choice could also increase the saturation, the colour, and the magic in this image. So I'll come up to a gold, but I just don't feel comfortable in a silver distinction, just because of some of those areas. Yeah.
Thank you. Back to you, Julie.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind that, and I didn't think of it as a destruction of the print, because there's so much motion in it. Rather than it having a black space up there, it actually provided more texture. It doesn't look like it's degraded to me. It actually provides a texture. So I'm very happy with gold. So it's a stunning print, so I think we can just see what we can give it a little bit more.
Thank you. Julie's score of 93 is locked in. The majority score was 90. Judges, please rescore. And it goes to 91, Gold Award. Thank you. And shall we do the same again? So our three judges, Darren, Adam, Morgan. Thank you very much. Well done. You got all your teas and coffees with you. Ladies, are you right? Julie and Melissa, you're right? Yep, thank you. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And next print, please. Okay, judges, please. Can we have Morgan and Adam's scores, please? Thank you. We have an average score of 76. And a comment, please, from...
It's, a very professionally presented photo, and, some work's been done to maybe isolate the subject, but there's not much past that's been brought to the photo to lift it into an elevated award status. So, professionally done.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thanks, Adam. And we have an average score of 84, which is a silver award. And that's it. Are we going to finalise the score? Thank you. You've got to wave because the system's very slow. Thank you. Morgan is on 93. We're going to have some interesting conversation. We've got 2 82s, an 83 and a 78. So, Morgan, you get to go first.
I wanted to reach out and touch this object that was presented. I feel that the humour, the story, I wanted to feel the embroidery is it a crochet in this book. The author putting putting their name on it, the humour illustrated by Adobe. These two characters who are characters in the story and then also actually crawling over the cover of their own story. I didn't know exactly what the story was, but I so wanted to know more. I wanted to reach out and touch the texture in this print. I know it's a hard ask for it's such a broad range, but I feel this deserves something more. So I would encourage my judges to come up.
Thank you. Melissa's on 78.
Yeah, I really enjoy the concept of this. I think the concept is really brave and innovative. I did struggle a little bit with the execution. Just little things that I wanted it to be more resolved. So, for example, some of the shadow areas around the book that were a little bit muddy, some softness on the edge of the book. I didn't enjoy the colour palette. You know, the stick insect in the centre seemed a little bit overlit with me. I didn't understand the relevance of the butterflies and the dragonflies and the treatment of those. But I did recognise, I thought this is a great concept. It's in professional practice and like the idea of it, but that's kind of where I was sitting, and I'd be keen to hear more.
Thank you. Darren on 83.
On 83, I was rewarding the idea, the creativity, and I let a bit of the execution through. I found that the elements of the image that are non-photographic, as in the parts that are a book, so a graphic element, were done really well. The photographic elements were done quite poorly. So there was this disconnect. The book is beautifully constructed, but the stick insect sitting on it looks like it's been cut out and stuck on it, and it just needs
Thank
a
you.
little more work.
So, Adam, a brief comment?
And I'm in the same similar sort of boat that I'm presented with what I'm looking here is that we're in the pet animal category, and initially what I'm looking at is that animal, and does that animal want to make me go and look into the book? And there's just not enough context or story or anything that's sort of presented within that. I'm at 82 because I'm rewarding a bit of the creativity and the originality, but I just cannot get through past that. I need to hear that.
Thank
that
you.
extra sort.
Morgan, your right of reply.
Thank you, everyone, for that discussion. I'd argue that potentially that was very bold of me to score it in that range. I hear the criticism. I still feel like it could, perhaps where it sits now is fair. I'm actually not.
Okay, so Morgan's score of 93 is locked in. Interesting discussion. Well done, team. The current average is 84. Judges, please rescore now. And it does stay at 84, so silver award. I'm sure the entrant will appreciate the conversation, so they'll get something out of that. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 67. And could we have a comment, please, Adam?
Look, the sharpness is something that does need to be worked on. There are lighting, the very strong highlights in the background to distract us away, but when we go and look for that sharpness in the eyes in the subject, it's just not there at the moment, so something to work on.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. By majority, we have a score of 89. And Julie would like to challenge that. Thank you, Julie, for your decisiveness. Julie's locked in at 98. And you've got a score range of 88, 87, another 93, and an 83.
This is absolutely outstanding. It turned around and it took my breath away. And I sat here and I don't know why. It's actually made me feel a bit emotional, and I don't know why. There's something. I think it's just because it's so beautiful. I mean, the mist just rising up off the water, the look on the bird. You know, the way the bird is looking into the camera. Its crossed legs. Beautiful positioning of the background behind it. The way it sweeps up, like it couldn't have been anything else. And the moon, the clouds. There is nothing wrong with this print. It is absolutely outstanding. It conveys everything that it's meant to in a gold with distinction, if I can read it. Exceptional vision, creativity, innovation. The technique is flawless. It exhibits excellence in all the assessment areas that you can have. I haven't seen an image like this before. I could just see this sold worldwide on hotel walls or something. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's worthy of a gold with distinction. So I'd really love everyone to move.
Thank you. We're going to hear from Morgan on 83.
I concede that I have criminally underscored this. I love that you pointed out the pose of the bird. I know that this is I know that much. But the first thing I thought of when I saw this was Swan Lake. The legs, the crossed legs, and the fact that the rear leg is sitting. It has just lifted up off the ground there, and you see it's yes. This is a dancer, and it has been presented as such. So I will be adjusting my score.
Thank you. Adam, a comment from you on 93?
And I too was the technical quality of the print is there for all to see. All the details there. It's got a lovely gradation of light across the whole subject that really shows that form. And the legs was the first thing I was drawn to, but even just the beauty of something sort of coming out of the dark as well. You know, it's not an attractive bird. Sort of, it looks a bit awkward, but everything is mirrored so beautifully through the frame. Even the eye and the moon kind of have this symmetry within them that I may have underscored it a little bit. I like gold distinctions to stay with me for a long time, and the longer I look at it, the more I'm being inclined. I'm interested to hear other people's scores, just to see
Thank
the
you,
faults.
Adam. Melissa's got a brief comment.
Yeah, I scored this at 88, and so I wanted to sort of discuss why I'd put it just below the gold area, because I think this certainly is a very evocative, strong, striking pose. I struggled a little bit, and this is just my perception, but I struggled with the print quality. I wanted some crisper blacks in there. I struggled with some of the background area where I really enjoy the mist in that foreground area, but I find that I'm blocked up into that second area, and that appears that there's movement through that, which is deliberate, obviously, but through that sort of horizon line. So I keep finding myself drawn into that area. I think the bird is absolutely majestic and gorgeous, but I would have just loved the print to be a little bit crisper and to give me a little bit more contrast. And then I would have been there in a gold distinction.
Thanks, Melissa. Darren's got a brief comment.
Quick comment, when it turned around, I was drawn to it immediately. Not sure about the print quality being exquisite. There's a bit of patchiness and stuff happening in there that I'm not comfortable with giving a gold to. And I love the background. I love the use of depth of field in most of the picture. Sharp moon, which keeps dragging my eye away from the bird, and that makes it look constructed. So that was what held me down from gold. So.
Thank you. Julie, your right of reply.
I love how we all see things differently. Like, to me, that moon is not sharp either, but I just love the positioning of the bird just right of centre. The balletness of the legs. I find the bird absolutely beautiful. And yes, it's a grey palette, which can be really dreary, but this just has this gorgeous artistic look to it. The background being smudged and so on, it couldn't be any other way. I would hate anything, obvious in the background, but I just absolutely think the sweeping edge of the background just brings you back to the bird again, and I seriously cannot fault that print. I think it's absolutely exquisite, and we're going for gold.
Thank you, Julie. Julie's score of 98 is locked in. The majority score was 89. Judges, having listened to the debate, please rescore now. And we have 92 gold award. Thank you, team. Next. Morgan and Adam, please. Let's keep it moving. We're going to save time for discussion. And we have an average score of 86, which is silver with distinction. Thank you. And so that we're going to finalise the score. And could we have a comment, please, from Morgan?
This colour palette is so wonderfully constructed. The only thing that I felt could be improved here, well, there's two things. I feel that outside of the exceptional visual communication with the colours and the composition, I feel that there's a narrative that I am not, either I'm not seeing or it's not there. The impact is there, but there's the narrative I'm not really feeling. With the top half of the image, where you have the blue background, I feel the image that is being used in there, felt a bit pixelated or unsharp or something that was just not there. So, in comparison to the yellow background of the bottom element of this, which was very strong and worked very well. So, but absolutely stunning. I would work on those things a bit higher.
Thank you very much. And can we have the next print, please? Thank you. We have an average score of 70. Melissa, a comment from you, please.
So this is scored in professional practice. I think some of the areas that you could potentially look at improving would be things like composition, looking at colour palette, where you're going to direct us with your tonal ranges, and I think that could certainly direct us into the engaging of the head, and that might bring up scores. Look at highlight control, things like that.
Thank you very much. And thank you, team. That's the end of this category. Well done. Excellent score ranges. We're going to have a 5-minute break, and could these people please come straight back after 5 minutes? We'll start doing the landscape category, and in this room we need Julie Ewing, Darren Dew, Melissa Anderson, Leslie Downey, Tony Holden, Adam Hourigan, Cameron Attry and Chris Anderson. And in room 1 is David Evans, Adam Finch, Francis Suter, William Long, Mel Duffus, Robin Campbell and Ollie Dale. So 5 minutes, see you back here.